Peace, family. How you doing? It is Wednesday. Is it Wednesday? Oh, it's Thursday. Good Lord. This week has been flying by. It's been going so fast that I just announced that it's the wrong day of the week. But because you now know that it is not Wednesday, today is Thursday, that means you're almost at your weekend. For those who like to empower themselves when they get close to Friday and Saturday, I will assist you with that empowerment to tell you you are almost at your weekend. And whatever that means to you is what it's going to be to you. So today is Thursday. This week has, for me, now I can only speak for me, I can't speak for you. This week for me has been very interesting. I've learned a whole lot, a lot of information, just like information overload, just like blah, 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 just a whole bunch of stuff. Learning um, with with just designing and community engagements and just community development, overall. So the learning process it's been good. It's been tiresome, but it has been good. So that's just my own personal thing. So um, for those that's watching right now, those watching on Facebook, all as always, I will forever. I mean, if you get tired of the gratitude, I mean, go somewhere else. I don't know. But I will always show gratitude because you deserve it. You deserve every time that you show up here for someone to just say thank you because you can always go somewhere else. You can always be listening to someone else's podcast. You can always be watching someone else's Facebook Live. You can always be watching someone else's YouTube, but you are here and I want to show gratitude and I appreciate you just for being in this space because getting up and constantly and consistently uh, doing this, it it takes drive. It really does. It takes courage. It takes encouragement. It takes a lot of stuff to get up in the morning and to do this thing that was birthed inside of you and to want to do it over and over again. It takes a lot to do. But for those who are here with me every morning, I am always going to give that back to you, and I'm going to give it back to you through grace. I'm going to give it back to you through gratitude, and I'm always going to say thank you and appreciate you for doing it. Today we're going to be talking about drive. And before we start, peace. Good morning, Miss Williams. I think you're going to become permanent. I've been seeing you consistently just being here. So let me go ahead and hook this caption up real quick for those that are watching on Facebook Live and those watching on YouTube. Let me set the caption up just for those that are going to come in. They can always know what we're talking about because it's right here. This is what we're talking about. See that? All right. My drive drives me. And because my drive drives me, I think we're going to just look at where we are. So what I want you to do right now, go ahead and put the word drive in the chat. Now, we're not talking about getting inside of a vehicle, physically getting inside of a vehicle, but we're going to we're going to create the analogy, as well, because there is a big difference between motivation and drive. A huge difference, but a lot of times we get those things mixed up. We get motivation mixed up with drive, and because we get motivation mixed up with drive, we come out with mixed. The outcome is different because when we want to be motivated by something, we're either going to listen to music or we're going to. Some of us will exercise. Some of us would do something else, but we have to learn and understand that there is a big difference between the two. And when you learn the difference between drive and motivation, you're going to begin to operate at it. You're going to operate different. You may increase your productivity when you understand the difference between drive and motivation, because you can be like, okay, I can identify it, I can see it, I'm going to do it, I'm doing it, and I'm repeating that process. I'm being consistent with it. And then now it becomes a habit. So I don't want to dig too deep into the intro because I'm going to be tapping into the lesson plan. But for those, again, make sure you share this live on your Facebook. Those who are in YouTube, go ahead and share this YouTube in your circle, because we're going to be tapping in. We're going to be tapping in something that is going to possibly empower you and motivate you to be bigger, better, and greater than you were before you got on or you were yesterday. So my drive drives me. That's what we're talking about today. So let's go ahead and tap into this conversation. So yesterday we were talking about protect your confidence. And because we were talking about protecting your confidence, then I think this title is very fitting to go from protecting your confidence into my drive drives me, because after you have acknowledged the emotions that you carry within your confidence, then you have to continue that process, because the process continued is based on the foundation of your drive. Can you do it again? If it is something that you can do again, then you repeat that process. So let's go through the definition. Like always, you will definitely learn something here at Consistency is Currency. You will learn definitions of words. You will learn the etymology of words, where we're talking about the origin and where it came from, the dialect, all of this other stuff. So the definition of drive is an innate, biologically determined urge to attain a goal or satisfy a need. So the inversion on this is white over red. So for those that are new to the platform, when I'm talking about inversion, the white over red, or inversion red over white, that means those are the colors that I want you to pay attention to. And then it's going to allow you to see that word possibly in a way that you can understand it, where you can then repeat that process, because it is a new identification of it. So again, the definition is stating that drive is an innate, biologically determined urge to attain a goal or satisfy a need. So the inversion here again is white over red, is an innate, determined urge to attain. That's your drive. That innate, that's something that is naturally birthed inside of you. That means you already have it. Right? That means you already have it, but what are you doing with it? And because you have it, you have to have a determined urge to attain it. That means you can have it over and over again, but do you have that determination inside of you that gets you to the point to where I want to attain this goal and it's mine? That I already have it in me. Now, because I know I have it in me, I have to pull it out of me. Because with the protection of your confidence, that means after you have developed the confidence, it is innate because it is inside of you. But after you have protected the confidence from those who have tried or strived to tear your confidence down, now you have built a new determination for you to actually go out and get that thing that you want, based off of your drive, your natural drive. Again, this is just raw definition. Everything that you see and everything that we're communicating about is something that you can go back and research yourself. It is innate. It's already in you. But are you willing to be determined enough to have the urge to go out and attain it? The goal is something that you set, but how you attain that goal is something that you have to do. But because it is innate and already inside of you, that means you have to actively pull it outside and develop the determination to be urged enough to make it happen. So now going into the second definition of drive, this is the psychological definition. It is compel or insight to action or condition of any kind. Because if it's saying that it is innate and it's already inside of you, now you have to go. The inversion on this is white over red, to incite to action. To incite to action. So because it's already inside of you, because you already have decided and you have already developed a determination for you to go after your goal that you've said that you've been wanting to do, you probably have goals that you wrote out last year that you did not accomplish, but because you've lacked the determination or you've lacked the drive to do, it is still an idea. It never actually manifested into a goal. You've never put yourself in a position to actually reach up and attain it in the first place. You wanted to stay in this pretty space to make it sound good because it briefs well and everybody want to clap for you and you feel real good about how other people make you feel about you. But on the inside, it is so tarnished that you don't even know how to shine it up. But I'm going to tell you that you can get that thing. It's like, it's the dry bones that is in your valley. Drive will breathe life inside of that gift or that goal that you had. And it will incite action. It will make it work. It will put it in the position to actually manifest itself into this physical form because you have the keys to actually drive the vehicle that you have to actually get you to that goal. Because you can attain it, but are you doing what you need to do right now to incite the action? What are you doing to ignite it? What are you doing? That's a question that you have to ask yourself. If my drive drives me, then what am I doing to action it when it is time for me to do ultimately what I know I need to do? Am I ready to incite to action? That's your question right now. Are you ready to incite to action? If you're ready to incite to action, then say that. I have talked about it so much. I'm ready to incite to action. I have been dreaming about this for the past umpteen months. I am ready to incite to action. It's just been sitting at the tip of my tongue. I am ready to incite to action. Everybody's been seeing these things that I'm doing, but I don't see it. But you won't see it until you're ready to incite to action. Again, these definitions have always been here, but this gives you the ability to see yourself in the definition. Again, everything you can look up. Drive, compel or incite to action or condition of any kind. That means you have the ability to change your conditions once you incite to action. Again, these definitions are all here. So if you're ready to incite to action, say that. Put it in the chat. Incite to action. I'm ready to incite to action. I'm through talking. I'm done looking at everybody else and trying to compare myself to everybody else, but I don't know how they actually went about their way to receive that blessing because you so nosy looking at what other people are doing when you're not even paying attention to what you need to incite because you're looking at everyone else in sight or the insight. You've lost your insight of self. Because you lost your insight of self, you will never be able to ignite anything. You will never be able to incite anything because you lost the insight of you. You are in the same condition because you have lost your way. So the compel or incite to action or a condition of any kind, the inversion is incite to action. Like, but what is insight? I'm glad you asked. I'm going to show you. Insight. The definition of insight is to encourage or stir up, urge or persuade to act. Now, I know it has someone up there, but we're not talking about someone. We're talking about you. We're talking about you talk to you. We're talking about you encouraging you. Y'all make sure y'all share this, because there's somebody that need to wake up to hear this today, because they've been having this same dream for over and over and over again, but they have yet to incite to action because of whether it is fear, whether it is doubt, whether it is self-sabotage, or it's something they have not incite to action. Well, insight to action. So if it is if it is encourage or stir up urge or persuade to act, you have to look at it for you. Because what I want you to see, the inversion on here, is stir up, persuade to act. Stir up. Because for those of us that know, we've heard it for a long time, that we'll say, oh, your gifts will make room for you. Okay, bet. Now what are you going to do? Because the next thing that is now being told of you to do, that you have to stir up the gift. And the stirring up of the gift is really the insight to action. Because if wisdom is wise words, ways, and actions, then therefore my actions have to match my gift. And because my actions match my gift, now I take on the responsibility of stirring it up and persuade myself to act. So I'm going to take you into yesterday's definition of, the etymology of confidence, because the etymology of confidence is Old French confider, to trust, confide, or persuade. So if your confidence has to be persuaded, and then you have to understand that your insight is the persuade to act. So therefore, if your drive drives you, that means you're persuading yourself to actually to continue to do it over and over again. So now we're going to take this deep dive. There's 4 things that I want you to pay attention to when it comes to your drive driving you. Because when your drive drives you, it's going to be able to put you in a different place in your life, because this is something that we're dealing with every day. Drive is psychological. Drive is personal. Drive is innate. Drive is already inside of you, but what are you doing to pull it out of you in order for you to manifest those things that ultimately you know that you should have manifested, or those things that you know that you have the ability to manifest? It allows you to wash, rinse, and repeat, because you've taken it on from a personal perspective. My drive, not his drive or her drive or their drive. It's my drive. It's mine. I've taken it personal. So therefore, I must take a personal approach to doing it. And when you're taking a personal approach to doing it, the first thing that I want you to learn and to know and to understand, you have to begin to develop a sustainable progress. Develop sustainable progress. Now, you can write these things out. So as I go through these 4 steps, put it inside the chat, because I want you to begin to profess these things. I want you to begin to action it. Action it. Develop sustainable progress. What in the world is sustainable progress? Because you have to develop it, you have to understand what strategies or activities do you do that work. That's for you to find out. That's for you to develop. It's like, for those that are prior militaries, it's like a personal AAR. For those that don't know what AAR is, you may be from the civilian side. That is the after action review. That is you looking at the actions that you've taken and looking at what worked, what didn't work. And if it did not work, what do you want to do to fix it? Or if it did work, what do you want to do to sustain it in order for you to do it over and over again? So look at the strategies and the activities that you did that worked. And if it did not work, figure out what you want to actually change. It's like, take a driven assessment of yourself, to yourself, about your actions that you take when you feel a certain way when you're making these things happen. It could very well uh, be as simple as changing the way you think about your progress, changing the way that you have developed ways of how you achieve things. It is a development. It's not something that happens instantly. It's something that you work on. And because it's something that you work on, that means you have to be okay with being honest about the process, because trust me, the process will be honest with you. And because the process is going to be honest with you, you can't hide from it. It's either going to work or it's not. But you have to develop that sustainable process and progress. How are you progressing in your life? How are you progressing in the things that you do? How have you progressed in the process that you've learned about yourself the last time you did it? Develop sustainable progress, not process, progress. Develop sustainable progress, because that's where consistency kicks in. Actually, when you develop sustainable progress, can you do it again? Yes. Then do it. Action it. So now, number two is, now I know we talked about this past day, minimize the outside influence, but maximize the inside influence. Now I want you, for the second thing that I want you to do when it comes to your drive drives you, is to harness the influence of others. Everyone has to understand that success sometimes does not have to be a lonely process. Success could be a group process. Success could be a process that you can deliver with those who understand your vision, those who understand your gifts, those who understand your drive, those who understand your work ethics. You can harness the influence of others that they can possibly tap in to the things that you need in order for you to pull it out of you. Your mentors, your loved ones, your parents, somebody that wants to see you do well. You can harness the influence of others. You can sit down, take notes, and say, you know what, I've never paid attention to that. Or going to a therapist, or someone that allows you to be open and honest and transparent enough to talk about the good, the bad, the sustain, and what you're going to, and how you've learned throughout your progress on how you process. So the next thing that you're going to do is begin to design your goals and not make it a chore. Yeah, it works. That's why I put the Chris Rock. I mean, I know he got smacked in his photo, but it's like, wow. Because, like, for me, when I began to look at this, I was like, wow, this is like an aha moment. When you actually design your goals, but not make your goals a chore, right? Because when you do that, you have to understand that drive is manufactured. It's not something that you go and buy, but you have to manufacture it. You have to develop it. And when you develop or manufacture that drive, you have to begin to know that you have to recruit the drive. You have to recruit the confidence. Recruit the confidence. What are you talking about? Recruit the things that you know that you already have. Because if drive is innate, that means you already have it. So you have to recruit. That means you pull inside of yourself and pull it out. Manufacture it. You have to do it over again. It's the progress of process. So when you're pulling that out of you, that's when you learn that you have to ignite your own proactivity. Ignite it. Design it. Design the goals. Don't make it a chore. It's like when you're looking at the day that you want to have, you design it. I want to do this by this time. And when I do this by this time, it gives me room to do this. You design it. Now, if you have you ever made a list of chores that you want to get done and you probably only got through 3 of the 10 things that you wanted to do because you've made it a chore. But when you design it, it begins to feed into others. And when you say, okay, ooh, I got 3 things done, it's not even 12 o'clock yet. So now progress is a part of the process. And that when you're getting excited about it, so now you're saying, oh, I'm ready. Let's keep it going. I'm designing my day out by looking at what I've already done. And now your proactivity drives your productivity. I'm going to say that again. Your proactivity drives your productivity because you're becoming more proactive in the process of being productive because you're designing it. You're not waiting for somebody else to design it for you. You're designing it. And procrastination will kill it if you don't design it. If you're not being proactive with designing your productivity, procrastination will kill it. Don't you know that procrastination is the #1 murderer of your faith and progress? It's #1. It will kill it dead and it will stop it in its tracks because you're not allowing yourself to design it. You're not being proactive in the designing of your goals. Because when you make it, it's like giving your child a chore. Giving your child a chore will probably create some sort of personal trauma. Oh, I got a list of chores and I'm looking at these list of chores and and the child is already inside of your head saying, I don't want to do this. But if you give them a way of designing, like, okay, these 3 things, I need you to have this done today. You know, explain to me how you're going to do it and just design it. Design what this day looks like for you. So now when the child designs, okay, mommy, I want to do this. I want to have this done by 2 o'clock, but at 12 o'clock, I'm going to eat, I'm going to have lunch, but then I promise you this is going to be done by 2. They're designing the day. You're teaching them how to be driven and be proactive in the productivity on the steps that they're going to take to make sure all of these are done. And it's going to allow them to learn more about themselves and how to be productive. And the last thing I want you to do, you're going to have to sometime beat it down. Re-engineer your habits. Because if your drive drives you, you're going to have to re-engineer some habits. There are some habits that you've learned or you have developed that has not been successful for you. So you're going to have to re-engineer it. Or you may even have to reverse engineer it. So now I want you to understand that your work habits actually contributes significantly to your productivity. I mean, it's true. Look at it from your own personal perspective. Does your work habits contribute to your productivity? If it is or it does, then ask yourself, what about my work habits that I need to change? Because if my productivity levels are low, then therefore I have habits that need to be changed. Because you do know that you can change those habits that have been embedded inside of you so much and for so long that you know that it doesn't do you any good. It hasn't done you any well. So now that you can see those things and identify those things, you do have the ability to change it, but you have to be honest enough to admit that those bad habits exist if you are going to be driven by your drive. Not from someone else's drive, but be driven by your drive. So I want to teach you something real quick. So there are 4 elements to your habits. 4. And I want you to understand. I'm going to tell you them, then I'm going to break them down to you and how those things can be influential when it's driving your drive. So the 4 elements of the habits, 1 is trigger, thought, response, and reward. Trigger. What actually allows you to keep going? What are your triggers? What are those things that get you to the point to where, ooh, I got to get this done. I do this consistently. I'm on it. What triggers you? What things that you can identify that say, nope, I'm not going to allow this procrastination to take a control of me today? And your thoughts. What do you think about? What do you think about when you're doing it? I know for me, if there's something that I know that I want to do that need to get done, it sometimes now it may merge the two, merge trigger and thought. Those thoughts trigger to say, okay, I know if I don't get this done by then, or if I don't put it on my calendar, I know that I'm not going to get it done. It's not that I don't want to remember it. There is a process that I know, me personally, that I have to go through to ensure that I get it done. I have to put it on my calendar. And I know I'm not the only one on that. Trust and believe. So then the response, how do you respond to success and failures? What habits have you developed that actually feed into your drive of productivity? And how do you respond when it doesn't go your way? And what rewards do you have of progress? Reward. I don't care if you take yourself to lunch or dinner or go eat ice cream, whatever it is, you have made it and you can continue to make that again and allow yourself to feel and allow yourself to drive because you owe you again to tell you that my drive drives me, not someone else, but yours. Your drive drives you and continue to drive on because it's yours. Those personal goals that you have for yourself, just keep them going. Why? Because you're committed to change. You're committed to your process. And my drive drives me.